Well, a new CNN poll shed some light on what Americans think about those allegations. Nearly two-thirds, 63%, say they believe the women who claim they've had affairs with Mr. Trump. And gender makes a difference because 70% of women say they believe those women claiming the affairs compared to just 54% of men. But despite the accusations from Daniels and a week marked by staff firings and a plunging stock market, President Trump's approval rating has risen to its highest level in 11 months. It's now at 42%, a 7% increase over the last month. We're here to dig into all of these numbers and what they mean is CNN's political director, David Challian. He joins us from CNN Washington. Good to have you with us, David.
My pleasure, Linda. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so surprised by these polls that were taken over the weekend in the midst of all these new claims with regards to the details of these alleged affairs with Donald Trump, the porn star, the Playboy bunny, and also in the midst of just after the stock market tumbling last week. Just explain why we have seen this bounce back.
Well, what we've known about Donald Trump, I think, looking at polling over the course of the campaign and well into his presidency now is, if you're with Donald Trump, you're not going anywhere. So he's got a pretty committed base of support. And what we see sort of month-to-month swing is, do some of the softer supporters among independents and Republicans drift away from him or drift toward him in any given month? If you look at the issue set, the only issue right now that is he's in positive territory on, 48% approval, not a gobsmacking number there, but still 48% approval, 43% disapprove, positive territory on the economy. And I think that's a large driving issue for a lot of people. And so when he's getting positive marks on that issue, his numbers overall tend to go up. But what we've seen is that if you are ardently for him or ardently against him, that number remains pretty consistent. It's that softer, more movable support that seems to drift out. And within the last month, independents go up 6 points for him on approval, and Republicans go up 6 points for him on approval. That's what helps get his overall number up.
And David, when you look at the polling numbers, we see this 60-40 consistently, no matter what the question is. Generally, we're seeing 60% against him, 40% for him. Can you explain why, and can you explain how that compares to previous presidents at this stage in their first term running America?
Yeah, it's been one of the most consistent findings about President Trump since the election is this 60-40 split. You're absolutely right. On every attribute we test, his honesty and trustworthiness, his ability to effectively manage the government, you name the attribute and it cuts 60-40 against. In terms of how he ranks against other presidents, Linda, if you stack up all of his modern predecessors, he's still at the bottom. At 42% approval at this point in his presidency, that is still the lowest of all modern-day Republican presidents going back to Truman. Now, though, he is inching a little closer to both Ronald Reagan and Barack Obama, where they were in their first term. He's only about 4 points behind them right now that his numbers are coming up a bit in the 40s.
And that is really quite incredible. And of course, despite these alleged affairs that we're hearing about and the women who claim sexual harassment, President Trump still seems to have a very strong support base amongst evangelical Christians. Has that wavered at all?
It really hasn't. It is still very much with him. He's got some 68% or so support among white evangelicals. And we've heard from white evangelical leaders in this country who are sort of said on the Stormy Daniels stuff, we're going to give him a mulligan. We're a do-over. He gets a pass on that because it is from his distant past, 10 years ago, they say, or so. It's not behavior as president, and he is still following through on policies with his appointments of conservative judges and other policy areas as it comes to pro-life executive orders that the evangelical community cares deeply about. They're with him on how he's doing the job that they have elected him to do, even if some of his past, which they were aware of when he got elected, comes back to haunt him.
Certainly fascinating how these numbers are playing out. David Challian, our CNN political director, great to have you with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, still to come, more bad news for Cambridge Analytica after a former worker accuses the data firm of US election law violations. We'll have details on that coming up. Also, Uber pulling out of yet another Asian market. Its exit strategy just ahead. Stay with us.